Hello, everyone. Thank you all for being here on this historic day for New Mexico and for our nation. My name is Sila Abdul, and I'm proud to serve as the Executive Director of New Mexico Open Elections and NM Voters First. It's an honor to stand before you as we celebrate a major victory for voting rights and democracy. We have passed a bill to open the state's primaries to independent voters, those who do not affiliate with a major political party, in their voter registration and personal lives. Under the previous law, independent voters, what we call decline to state in New Mexico, were provided the option to register with a major political party on the day of the election in order to be able to vote. This created unnecessary barriers for voters, additional work for poll workers, and administrative strain for county clerks and the Secretary of State. After 3 years of tireless work, organizing, and coalition building, we successfully championed a semi-open primary system that allows over 300,000 independent New Mexicans to participate in publicly funded elections without needing to change their party affiliation. Thanks to the leadership of Governor Michelle Lujan Grisham, Senate Bill 16 is now the law of the land. It gives independent voters the right to choose a party ballot and vote in the primary election just as every engaged citizen should be able to. This victory did not happen overnight. It's the result of years of effort, not just by me, but by the entire New Mexico Open Elections and New Mexico Voters First boards, who laid the foundation with nearly 7 years of public education and legislative outreach. Over the past 3 years, we've expanded that vision, building a coalition of over 20 local organizations, forging trusted relationships with lawmakers, and keeping the flame of hope alive for hundreds of thousands of New Mexicans who deserve to have their voices heard. This is only the second time in U.S. history that a state legislature has passed a semi-open primaries bill. That's not just policy, it's progress. And it speaks volumes about what's possible when we come together and fight for a fairer and more inclusive democracy. We're incredibly proud of what we've achieved and even more excited for what's ahead. Our next step is to work hand in hand with county clerks and the Secretary of State to ensure that every independent voter in New Mexico knows about this change and can exercise their right to vote with confidence and clarity. Thank you for joining us today. Let's keep pushing forward because democracy works best when we all participate. Our next speaker will be Lily Irvin Vitella, the Vice President of the New Mexico Voters First Board. So please help me welcome her.
Good morning, everybody, and thank you, Scylla. And Scylla was gracious and accurate in identifying the other people who were part of making this happen in the years of work. But let's not underestimate how important she's been as a catalyst. Her political savvy, her policy savvy, her heart, her ability to build relationships is a lot of the secret sauce of how this happens. It's how anything good happens in this country, right? Good people with good principles come together and they inject that into our democracy and it makes for a better one. So please, let's give her a round of applause. And Perry in the back, let's give her a shout out too. And John's not here, but he was also instrumental. So, it's important to know that behind the scenes, all of what it took. I want to share a couple of reasons why this is not just a celebration for New Mexico Voters First and New Mexico Open Elections, but why it's a celebration, or should be, for New Mexico, and why it should be a celebration for our country. So I was born and raised here. My family's been here a long time, not as long as many, but my possibly great, I'm forgetting the number of greats, grandfather was in the first New Mexico territorial legislature. And I'm sure his politics were very, very different than my own. But that being said, one of the ethics that flowed through as a thread throughout the cross lines in our family is our belief in each other, in community, to talk, to figure things out, and to make good decisions. And I don't think that's only true of my family. I think that's true of us as New Mexicans, as a family of New Mexicans, that we know how to get really smart, resourceful things done, even in a national environment that is hyper-partisan. We're leading the way about what it really means to be in a healthy democracy together, and I think that's really worth celebrating. The other thing that I think is worth noting and celebrating, even in a national environment that is trying to impact our ability to talk about issues of anti-oppression and issues of justice, is to keep in mind what happens when organizations and movements are led by the right people. And the right people are the people who are most reflective and most representative of how you will experience the front line impacts of a policy decision. So make no mistake, without this being women of color led, without the ethic of understanding the value of relationships, not just as a transaction, but as something transformational that builds power for everybody, this wouldn't have happened. And that is also something where New Mexico leads. So let's keep that in mind as we continue to build democracy and remember what's important. It's good to know when and who should step up and who should step back in support. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Lily. Up next, we have a few words from the current president of the UNM Democrats, James Hernandez.
First of all, I want to say thank you all so much for being here. And a massive thank you to Scylla as well for being a huge advocate for this. So first off, I want to start off by thanking all those amazing advocates who were a part of this coalition. Without your work and effort, we would not be standing here today and recognizing the passage of this incredible bill. I think it's no secret to anybody here that in this moment, many young Americans all across the country are angry. They are angry at our political system, and they feel increasingly left behind and frustrated by both major political parties. For many New Mexicans, they too are angry at our current political system, and they have a right to be angry. What we see is that more New Mexicans are choosing not to align with any major political party and are instead becoming independents or decline to state voters. In New Mexico, a large portion of young voters are choosing to register without affiliating with a major political party. And as recently as December 2024, nearly 23% of all registered voters in the state were unaffiliated, and notably, 40% of young voters aged 18 to 24 fell into this category. Young voters are increasingly identifying as independents, often feeling that both major political parties do not represent their views. At a time when more New Mexicans are becoming independents and decline to state, it is incredibly important for our democracy to ensure that all New Mexicans, regardless of their political affiliation, can participate in our state primary elections. Whether you are a college student deciding to become an independent and who doesn't want to register with a major political party, or whether you are an independent New Mexican that is fed up with the political system, you have a right to participate in our state primary elections. SB 16 does exactly that by ensuring that all voters, not just Democratic or Republican, can vote in our primary elections through semi-open primaries. SB 16 is an incredibly strong step in the right direction, and I, along with many of our partners, were incredibly proud to be a part of this coalition that supported this bill. And I am even more excited to support future pieces of legislation that will only strengthen our democratic process and expand voting access for all New Mexicans. Thank you.
And up next, we will have one of our major bill sponsors, Representative Christina Parajon.
Cristina Parajon. Buenos dias. I'm the representative for House District 25, which is the northeast area of Albuquerque, and I'm also the youngest woman in the New Mexico legislature in almost 90 years. I had the distinct honor of carrying the baton across the finish line for this bill, debating it on the floor for an hour and a half, and fending off hypotheticals. And the way we did that, and I think that speaks a lot to the preparation that went into this bill, is we continued to fend off those hypotheticals by going back to the data. What does case law actually say about the legality of this bill? What does the Pew Center say about our independence? What does the incredible data that our Secretary of State has gathered say about how this will impact our state? And what we saw was that this will undoubtedly increase the number of people who will participate in our election system. And so this bill, folks have been working on this for years. I was just one part of the piece of this story. But the reason why there is so much commitment is because the folks up here truly believe in the project of American democracy and that ongoing nature of it. And I say ongoing because it is continuous. We have had to fight for the constitutional right to vote. Powerful forces know exactly what the power of political office can do. And while others in other areas are pulling us back, here in New Mexico, we are driving forward. Woo! This is a historic step for young people's and veterans' rights, and just people's rights to vote in an election. We're enfranchising 330,000 New Mexicans with their ability to vote. And this is not just about parties, it's about rights and increasing that voter participation. Our dream is that with a bill like this, we lead the nation in voter participation. Yes. That we lead the nation in young people voter participation, yes. In veteran voter yes. participation. We dream that in our state, our multicultural state, that all voices can be heard. Thank you very much.
And up next, we will hear from Bernalillo County Clerk, Michelle Kavanaugh.
Thank you so much, Scylla. Thank you to New Mexico Open Elections, Common Cause, coalition partners, and Madam Secretary of State for allowing me to come celebrate this moment with you all. I'm honored to stand among all of you as advocates for access. I'm Michelle Kavanaugh. I'm the Bernalillo County Clerk. Now, you may know, thank you, Bernalillo County has the highest population in the entire state of New Mexico, and we have over 424,000 registered voters in Bernalillo County alone. But over 100,000 of those voters have been shut out of part of the decision-making process. Over 100,000 voters in Bernalillo County alone, independents, no party, declined estates, who care about their communities and their families and our futures as much as their neighbors. Now, thanks to the passage and signing and extremely hard work of the folks around us, for Senate Bill 16, these voters once again have a voice. I know that my colleagues in other counties across the state are as excited about this as I am, and we look forward to ongoing communication and collaboration with the Secretary of State on implementation of this momentous legislation. Though I know that there are many other fights ahead of us as efforts are made to decrease voter access, knowing our legislators, knowing our community leaders are fighting, I am hopeful, and the fight goes on. Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
And last but not least, as our keynote for the day, we will have the New Mexico Secretary of State, Maggie Toulouse-Oliver.
Thank you, Scylla. Thanks, all of you. There are too many people to give credit for the passage of this bill. And I just want to say, for me personally, this has been an issue that I've cared about for a long time. I used to oppose the concept of open primaries. I used to think if you want to be a member of the club, then be a member of the club, and then you get to vote for members of the club. I genuinely thought that. And then I became county clerk before Michelle, just a little before. And I saw how my staff, and the poll workers that are so dedicated to our democracy were having to turn people away from the polls. People who were showing up, they had made a plan to come vote. They came, they had opinions, they wanted to weigh in, and they couldn't. And they were told no. And for me, as an election administrator, that is one of the most heartbreaking experiences to ever have, is to tell somebody, no, you can't vote if you're an eligible voter. And so for years, I have been supporting not SB 16 in specific, but this legislation in all of its iterations. Because participation begets participation, as has already been said. I think Representative Paracuan said it perfectly. And the data show that. And we need more participation in our democracy. Because with more participation, we get better election outcomes. We get elected officials that look like us, feel like us, have the values like us. And in this time, and it's a very challenging time in our country, having something like this happen, having this bill pass, to celebrate this and to show that our state is moving forward, and we're going to have an incredibly participative primary in 2026, is very exciting news that we all need. So I just want to thank literally everyone that worked so hard on this over the years. Yes, I put in my 2 cents, as much as I could, but as has been noted already, it was an incredible team effort. And most recently, to get it over the line, Scylla, you did an incredible job. Everybody did an incredible job. So thank you all again for being here today to celebrate something good and celebrate something exciting about our democracy, and to celebrate the fact that more people are going to be able to vote in 2026. And with that, I'll just say thanks and goodbye.
And with that, it concludes our press conference for the day. Some of us stick around and answer some questions if folks have any, but just thank you again so much to everyone here and everyone not here that participated in this effort for the past 10 years or for the past 5 years or for the past 3 years. It's been a tremendous, extremely difficult task, but I'm just really proud to have accomplished it with all of you guys. So thank you so much.
I know.
Yeah, let's take a picture. Jacob walks away from trees.